Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're going to talk about something a little outside of our wheelhouse. We don't usually talk about sports on the channel. Obviously, neither one of us are huge sports fans. Believe it or not, I don't really care for sports that much. Certain sports, but not in general. But we're going to talk about Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. And I'm somewhat familiar with him. I'm more familiar with him because of his pizza videos. He goes and he rates pizza. He goes to different pizza joints and he rates pizza. This guy sold his network a few years ago for, I think it was half a $1 billion.
Dang.
And then he got it back for $1, which is crazy. But that's when all these companies were going on these media buying sprees. And so that is awesome. Go him for that. And this kind of happened with Rooster Teeth too. Warner Brothers ran Rooster Teeth into the ground, and then Bernie was able to come back in, I guess, and buy it pretty cheap. So that's pretty good. But there's talk that they're going to shut down their New York offices for a variety of reasons. I don't know if he opened the New York office, because again, we don't follow him that close. I don't know if he opened the New York office or the new owners opened or whatever. But they're not performing. And so we've got this podcast, the Fishbowl Show, and these women are on there complaining about the state of the New York office. And anyway, he calls them out on X that they're complaining. We're going to look at this clip, and they're complaining about the New York offices as they're on the verge of apparently shutting the New York offices down because they're not performing. And this is the reason we're covering this. This is very indicative of where people in the media actually are, right? That we have a lot of younger, entitled people who don't understand how basic business works. And sometimes the damn house could be on fire. The house could be on fire. Like, oh my God, our business is burning down because we're spending more than we're bringing in. And they're concerned about the color of the drapes. Like, it doesn't matter. The house is burning down.
This reminds me, that's not just, in the media. It reminds me of Hollywood and the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild and all that crap. And it's like, they can only hire people they can afford. When you're picking projects that don't make any money, it's like all these industries. It's the, what you said, the unified theory of everything is what you always say. That's kind of what it is. It's like a business cannot stay in business if they're just giving you what you want and let you say what you want and costing them money all the time. It's not going to happen.
No, and this is why I think we're seeing a lot of, I'm going to call it right sizing, especially in the media, because there was a lot of crazy money. Again, this is a guy that sold his company for $500 million. This is a company he built himself. So, I mean, if the guy's saying, shut the fuck up, he's saying, because he knows how this works and he knows where things are at right now, and things aren't great right now in the media. They're not. Doesn't matter who you are. They're not great. You shut up and be thankful you still have a job. And, he's I mean, this is a dose of reality, and we've been doing a lot of that lately, and we've been doing it for the last couple of years now because, what goes up must come down, and people don't want to hear it. They really, truly think that money just grows on trees. Just print more money. Just go get more venture capital. It has run out.
What's going on is these people literally do nothing, bring nothing, and then they're demanding the moon.
Yes.
So data ends in Y.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's talk about this. Before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you'll get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Now, Geeky is a co-owner. She has job security, so she can complain about the state of the studio or whatever. About I'm not going to get rid of her. So
you better not.
So this is we'll look at the clip, but he said what would be crazy for a media company? To have employees who haven't made a cent for the company in their entire careers just shut up and thank their lucky stars they still have a paycheck.
Well, my next thing is, but then the flip side, I'd argue, though, if they're not making any money, why are they still there?
Well, I think he's in the process of getting rid of them. This might be the straw that broke the camel's back, because when you're like, hey, guys, we're not putting any money into the New York studio because we're probably going to shut it down because it's not making money. Have you sit there and do a whole episode bitching about the studio. And
so they did a whole episode complaining how they aren't getting what they think they should get.
Yeah. So I went out to look at their views. Now, look, YouTube is not a good indicator when it comes to podcasts of what your actual listenership is, right? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of people are, they have much bigger audio reach than they do video reach, or they're maybe on Rumble more, they do live streams, whatever. But I don't think they're that popular because I'm looking at their views and we're talking 2,500, 4,000, 4,000, 3,000. I think it's been declining. They used to do like 8, 10. Here's 2,000.
Again, we don't know if they're a podcast. They might do better like on Spotify and places like that. But yeah,
I have no idea. But yeah, it was in the episode we react to Dave saying he's considering shutting down the New York City office. Now,
was the New York City office there when he ran it before, or was that something that the new owners went and did?
I don't know.
Because if it was like the new ownership, like why should he, I mean, but even if it wasn't, businesses change all the time. You have to pivot. And if something's not performing or you can't afford it anymore, you just can't keep it. It's just not going to, I'm sorry. The reality isn't maybe what you want to hear, but it's still the reality.
Yeah, I mean, people don't understand. They could be like, hey, we had the best of intentions. We started a project, 3 or 4 years ago. Then the economy changed, things changed. And they do. And that's the thing, as a business owner, you have to look at, not that, I'm the CEO of some multi-million-dollar corporation or anything, but like just even as a small business owner, you have to look at and be like, things are changing. Do we continue to throw good money after bad? Right. And we just made the decision with one of our businesses to shut it down completely. Our lease was up and it's like, you know what, where is this business model going to be in 3 to 5 years, whatever we'd have to sign for again. And it just wasn't worth it. It's just not worth it, and
yeah, it sucks, but you just got to do what you have to do.
It sucks. And you feel, in my case, I feel like I personally failed, but things change. The economy changes. I mean, imagine all the people that started a business like right before the pandemic and then they had to go out of business. Like they put their life savings maybe into starting a restaurant or something they wanted, and then the pandemic hits and it's just like, yep, that's it. We're done. Media has changed considerably in the last couple of years. It's not going to get better for a lot of people. AI is definitely going to cut into it, but that crazy money is not there anymore. You're not going to get another $500 million deal selling off your company to some stupid moron with
not now, especially blogs and stuff. I mean, they overpaid then. I remember hearing the prices they were selling them for, and I was like, for what? And then now, you can't do that now, unfortunately.
Yeah, so let's listen to this clip here, and then we'll go out and look at some of the replies. People are trying to shame him for shaming them, but they did a whole episode bitching about him. So, all right, so you just looked into it, and he actually started the New York office?
I think so. They went to the New York office in 2019. He didn't sell it till 2020. There could be a couple of reasons. One, it could have been like, New York wasn't as expensive then. Two,
right.
It could be, they had way more money. And 3, it could be they were trying to sell it then and they were trying to make it more attractive to a buyer. But I know a lot of companies are just shutting down buildings because they don't have a choice. I know UPS we're going to let the leases up or either sell buildings they owned or let leases up on like 93 different locations because they can no longer afford it. So things change, economy changes. You got what you got to do.
Well, look at animation, right? So Netflix built this whole like animation campus.
Yes.
During the pandemic, spent millions, and this is Netflix, right? One of the most successful companies out there. Millions and millions of dollars they were going to funnel into animation, and then all of a sudden they decided animation is not where it's at. They're canceling shows, they're canceling movie projects. I mean, they just like burnt that money, but Netflix has it to burn.
Yeah. Who was one that had the building with the cherry tree or with the trees in it?
Oh, Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were
Crunchyroll, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were in San Francisco, and that was ridiculous. And I wouldn't have shown that. So Crunchyroll.
I think they sold that one too, didn't they?
Yeah, they got out of that building. They were in San Francisco, and they had this warehouse office, and they had their own like downtown like Tokyo district, and it looked like kind of like if you go to Disney, if you go to the Mexican pavilion where it looks like an indoor market or whatever, but this looked like part of Japan. But they had a cherry tree, and they were talking about their lunches they're taking, like all this ridiculous bullshit that kind of led us to, I believe, the implosion of digital media and the implosion
mismanagement of funds. Those funds could have been used for something else. Anyway, back to this. So you're going to play the clip?
I'm going to play the clip, and we're going to see what they're... Yeah, whole episode attacking him, complaining about the situation.
I actually was not saying Jersey. I was just saying in terms of this office, like if they were to do it in the same place, just a more condensed, homier version with less top lighting, harsh top lighting.
Yeah, a lot of harsh top lighting. I wouldn't mind a skylight.
More regulated AC. Where would you want to condense?
Regulated AC.
Like where
Like, paint me your vision. Like, who do you want? What do we want combined?
It's just one big square.
So what do we want? And he's basically saying, like, you don't get to dictate the terms. What do you mean?
No.
What do you want? I'm paying for it. You're not paying for shit. You either work here or you don't work here. And I'm looking at their views and I'm like, if they're not bringing the views in on the audio side, bringing in 2,000, 3,000, and we see this all the time. These damn podcasts, they're giving podcast deals, multi-million-dollar podcast deals to celebrities or quasi-celebrities.
Mostly quasi-celebrities. I was on the on the episode of whatever reality show,
The Bachelor or something
stupid like that. Let's give them millions of dollars, and then when they don't bring any views
because nobody gives a shit. They don't care, right? YouTube is a different ball game. No pun intended.
He's been talking to the finance guys to find property, is what he said.
Oh, so he's serious about this.
Yeah, but I also do know that the lease on this building is not up for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I would like somewhere that isn't an icebox all the time.
Totally.
I like somewhere
Natural light.
where natural light.
And can I say something else? For a media company, it would be really nice to have a room you could record in with lighting. And I know that sounds really crazy for a media company, but I do think that would be really nice.
Holy shit.
Well, here's the thing though. I'm listening to them. I'm just hearing like, if we, these are things we would like. He's going to get a new building. Here are some things I hope they're in the new building. That's what it sounds like to me.
Okay, so I'm not going to be as nice as you. I'm going to say this conversation is one that you have behind closed doors when you have a staff meeting. You don't broadcast it on the air and take it because you look. Yeah, when he's sitting there like, we have to downsize, we have to change because we're bleeding out money, and you're not bringing any money. You're like, well, we'd like to have this and a skylight and whatever.
Well, honestly, I think both two things be true at once. I think that should not have been on the air. I do agree with you on that. But what I'm hearing now, we aren't the whole way through it, but what I'm hearing so far is, he's probably looking for new property. I hope when he get new property, what things if you could have your wish, what would you wish was in the property? And it was just them talking amongst themselves, but it would be great if it had this. I don't see it as being malicious so far.
No,
but I don't think it should have been on air.
Okay, so yeah, I don't think it's malicious, but it betrays their attitude, which is assuming they're going to have jobs when they make the move, right? And I'm sure he seems like a very blunt guy. People said he's a very blunt guy, but that's probably part of the reason why he got to where he got to. He probably has explained the financial reality to them, and they're just like, I'd like some curtains and a skylight and,
I don't know. I just don't think it's as bad as, like, I was expecting it to be much worse. Like, again, there's still some time left, but I was expecting the way that he was behaving. I was expecting him to be like, and we're not leaving and F you and all this other stuff.
Oh, that's other companies. Yeah, I mean, I'll give him credit for that.
All I'm hearing is like, it'd be nice if we had, it wasn't so cold in here. It'd be nice if we had a room we could record in with the right kind of lighting. Those aren't things that I think are warranted of, we're being malicious, terrible people.
No, but I don't know. I'm not as nice about this.
I'm just trying to be fair. But, they shouldn't have said it on air. I think they shouldn't have said it.
Yeah, publicly. It shouldn't have been a conversation. Okay, in the corporate world, if your job is on the line and you know that money is tight, you don't bitch about it on the air while collecting a paycheck. If you want to bitch about it personally to your friends, that's fine. If you get gone and then in retrospect, as long as you don't have an NDA or something, you want to bitch about the working conditions, that's fine. But when you're collecting a paycheck and your job is to help us bring money in, shut the fuck up.
They're not really bitching about it. They're not saying, how dare he shut it down? They said, he's searching for another property. Oh, what would you like to see if you got another property? If you could have what you wished for. It wasn't like, he better do this. He better do that. He better do this. That's not how it comes across, though. So, I know. We're not going to agree on this one.
We're not going to agree on this one.
I don't think they're being as bitchy as the way you said they were. Like, I was expecting to be demanding. Now, again, play the rest of the clip and then see if I change my mind.
I would not be happy. I don't know if here's the thing.
Okay, I get being mad, but I think him making the comments he made was a little too harsh given what they were talking about.
I'll give you that. The entire conversation should have been had behind closed doors.
I do agree.
All of it. Like their complaints shouldn't have been on a public podcast, and his reaction to that shouldn't have been
Because
public
what this
either.
reminds me of is like people do like, armchair imagineering. And like, if you could redo something and have whatever you wanted, what would you like to see at this attraction? And people do it all the time. And I mean, granted, they don't work for Disney, but I'm just like, this sounds to me like, hey, we know we're moving. Hey, he's looking for another building. We might not be moving for a while though, because the lease isn't up for 2 years. But when we do,
There are
move,
ways out. There are ways around that.
if we do move, what would be nice to see? What would you like? What would you wish for that would make it better in the building? And that's basically what I'm hearing. I'm not hearing, how dare he move, kind of malicious anything. And I don't think that his response to it is, I think he overreacted.
Yeah,
in his response to it.
But he basically said what any boss that's running a
Well, I mean,
company
I do
that's
agree. It's like,
struggling
it
is
shouldn't be,
thinking like, what the this is
Don't
again,
talk about it on the thing.
Right.
But I mean, his response, I think his response is over the top too, in my opinion. But let's listen to the rest of it to see what they say. Maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe they say something really stupid. And then I'm like, oh, no, I agree with him now.
Well, okay. So before we do that though, I was going to say, this is the same kind of reason why I tell people, we talk about strikes, we talk about unions, whatever. When your company is in financial dire straits, right? And look, people that work for these companies, they're aware, like, we're not doing good. There are headlines out there, we're not doing good or whatever, or things aren't good. There's a downturn in the media, whatever. I'm sure they've been made aware at meetings. You do not go on strike and ask for more money, because you're gonna wind up losing your job. Even if you get what you want, they're gonna look for the first opportunity to get rid of you. When he starts cutting costs, he's gonna be like, well, they're not happy here. They think it's too cold. So see ya. That's what he's telling you. But
yeah,
that
I
should
know.
have been
I
behind
get
closed
that.
doors.
I mean, I honestly should just keep your head down and worry about getting your numbers up. I agree with you there, and they shouldn't have said it on air. But I don't think anything they said warranted his response yet.
All right, let's see. Maybe it gets better.
I also think it's so crazy to ask for this from a media company, but having like Wi-Fi
Literally.
in the office
Oh, yeah, I have
would be
Wi-Fi.
so lit.
Yeah, or maybe like one
I'm on Wi-Fi right now.
soundproof room. So
Yes.
whenever like a particularly angry Mets fan gets particularly angry,
And maybe that room's padded.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I wouldn't
padded
mind-
and
Maybe
soundproof.
it has a lock from the outside.
And I wouldn't mind, I don't know if this is just like a KFC radio thing. It would be so lit if we had working microphones for a podcast.
Okay,
Oh,
what I'm
babe,
hearing
that's
right
fine.
now, these are valid concerns. It would be great if we had Wi-Fi in our building. What? Companies don't have Wi-Fi in their building. It would be great if we had microphones that worked and we had a room we could record in that was soundproof. And as somebody who we had to move to a studio, we had to rent a studio because cars kept going by, and this one asshole doesn't believe in mufflers. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
also would race up the hill because it's like, tell me you have a tiny penis without telling me you have a tiny penis. Because he'd get off on making as much noise as possible. I get that. This is supposed to be a media company, and then this building, which might be one of the reasons they're getting rid of the building. Maybe it's not conducive to what they needed to do there. But I'm sorry, asking for Wi-Fi and saying, can we have a place that's soundproof to record, doesn't sound like a super high reach to me. Like, for a media podcasting thing.
No, but I think
And mics that work.
and Mike's yeah, I
This
get
is
it.
like basic. That's, to me, that's bare minimum.
I know it's bare. So this is where I'm conflicted. Yeah, we had to move too because we had a bunch of truckers using their Jake brakes on the.
Oh yes,
hill outside.
we
That was-
right when you came into town. We lived where we used to live, our old house back in the day. We lived right where you came into town, and they
It was
would
on a
they
hill,
would-
so you hear.
They
blah,
would
blah,
hit
blah,
their
blah, blah,
their
blah, blah.
yeah their brakes, and that's
Yeah.
all you'd hear. And and if your mics don't work, I mean, I'm sorry, I don't think anything they said here is incorrect. I think he's
it's- okay,
overreacting to what
okay.
they said.
So
And they probably
I
should have said it on air, but
Yes, that's okay. So I think they're
because
this
it makes
is
the organization look bad.
yes, exactly that. That is what. So he's basically, I think. And I feel like, because there's been a lot of discussion, again, I don't know the inside baseball, again, no pun intended. I don't know the whole situation about this office or whatever, but it sounds to me like it's bleeding out money. And it sounds
It
to me
does.
like
If you don't have working microphones, you don't have
Right,
Wi-Fi in
you're
your building. My
duct taping
takeaway
things
is
together. It's,
my
yeah.
takeaway is, do you not have enough money to pay for these things? Why? Because you'd think for a media company that would be top priority. So it does come across as if the company doesn't have any money, or the company is not, doing what they should be doing, and then that's where the money's going. These are complaints they probably should not have said on air. I agree with that. But I think his response is also over the top and not something he should have said publicly. He should have talked to them directly. I don't think they never, and saying they don't bring any money, my comment to that is, if they don't bring a penny, why are they still there?
Because that's what he's saying.
For years. No.
Okay.
Having been in business for years, they've been doing this for how long, and he's been back and they're still there. If they were making no money, they would have been out the door before now. If he's this worried about finances and he's going to downsize and all that crap, they would have been out the door before now. The fact that they're not, I'm kind of like, but is that true? Or are you just saying that because you're pissed?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm
just saying, I think I think that multiple things can be true at once.
Yeah, I think it feels to me like there have been conversations. It could be they have a contract too. It could be that they've been contracted for X number of years.
And that, I mean, they might not get renewed.
If they're not putting money into it,
money because their YouTube's views aren't great. But
that's why I think look, if I had to guess, just from the outside looking in, I'm saying they're aware that things are not good financially. He's not investing more money in better equipment or better whatever
or equipment that works.
Because is throwing good money after bad.
You know how much time that's going to take extra when you don't have stuff that works. When you don't have mics that work, when you don't have soundproof areas to do your stuff in, it's going to take so much longer to get stuff done. It's honestly you're better. You're going to save money by buying equipment that works.
So remember, this is a sports network, and this person's like Volt Vanguard says ketchup served those two on a platter for Dave when she asked to paint me your vision. There's much bigger at play here than condiments. Bomback says, okay, nothing says healthy workplace culture like public humiliation. This person says you must be new here. Yeah, Dave has a reputation. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Barstool Sports, but he has a reputation for being incredibly, incredibly blunt.
I mean, I don't know. Blunt's okay because you're incredibly blunt. And and it works when you tell it to other people. When he does it to me, it does not go well. He's not incredibly blunt with me because he will incredibly regret it later. But
okay, so let's just say you're if it's good cop, bad cop. I know people think that Geeky, because on air she gets all fired up or whatever. She's the good cop. I'm actually the one.
It's actually true. It's actually true.
I'm the one you got to worry about. Like I'm very reserved and corporate on air, but when it comes to making the hard decisions, I'm the guy.
If I get to the point where I'm yelling or I'm saying kiss my butt or whatever, I've gotten past my level of tolerance, and I'm usually very. I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt. I'm usually pretty understanding. But when it comes to bullying and things, you immediately just send me over the edge. But I'm usually the calmer, more rational one. I mean, I would say that. And then Kneon's more the, I'm going to be blunt and tell you like it is, bitch. One.
Well, that was my job. I mean, that was my job for years. I basically
hard to believe, but it's totally true.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very. I'm a very easy to get along with person for the most part. But if the job is to make the company profitable, I have been since I was in my 20s. I was the guy who was always brought in to do what I had to do, and that's just how it is.
Okay, if you're asking me what I think about this whole thing, just from what you're showing me, I don't know what other stuff with these people on the back end. I don't know. Just from what you're showing me, this sounds like people that are they're sitting there discussing about, hey, we're getting a new building. What would you like to see if we got a new building? And it started out like that. I think, I don't think they should have done it on air, especially when they start going on about the mics that work, Wi-Fi in a building, and stuff like that, because then it does. I think if they had stopped before they hit that point, it wouldn't be so bad. But now it makes the business look like we don't have any money. My next thing is to the guy who's mad about it, who's the boss who owns the building. My next thing is, if you aren't providing those things that are pretty much standard for this kind of business, and you're mad that people were like, they think I have no money, you have to ask yourself, do you not have money? Is that why you're selling the building? Because you're not even providing Wi-Fi and mics that work. So I'm like, and then he got mad because you made me, because it sounds to me like you made me look bad, so I'm mad, and now I'm going to make you look bad as in retaliation. Well, you and I aren't going to probably agree with this on this, because I think multiple things are true at the same time. I think they should not have said it on air, but I think his response was totally unwarranted too. And I am sitting here thinking, if they don't even have Wi-Fi and mics that work, I'm like, dude, then all I'm hearing is your company's not doing good.
Well, yeah, or he's just not putting any more money into New York because he already made the decision. This person,
true too.
Yeah, this person, Black Mix, says, how about this? Don't publicly go on a show hosted by your own company and shit talk your company.
Yeah, I think
They'd
they
be the
should have
first
done
ones
it on
crying if they
air.
got fired. Yep. They said that actually Dave's too soft. They said the culture he built is that he has openly admitted he keeps people who don't make money because he doesn't like firing people. I'd say that's a pretty good culture because
but
almost no
that's
company
if
would do
that's
that.
the case, I don't buy that. Because if that's the case, he wouldn't be making the comments. You're saying he's going to be blunt. As someone who's going to be blunt isn't going to do that. Because me, yes, I don't like firing people. I don't like getting rid of people. And I try to give people as many chances as possible. You, however, are like, hell no, you're out. And you won't. I'm saying you can't. That sounds like contradictory to me.
Yeah,
but look,
well,
they shouldn't have said this on. They shouldn't have said the stuff they should have on air. That being said, saying I wish we had mics that worked. I wish we had Wi-Fi. If I could dream about a new building, maybe having some more light, maybe having some, not being so cold, because sometimes those tall buildings are cold. Maybe
Right.
not being so cold, having quiet spaces we can record in and mics that work. I don't think are ridiculous requests. It's not like they're saying, oh my God, guys, we need to have, because we're us and we're special, we need to have our coffee bar back, and we need to have our Michelin chef meals back, and we need to have our yoga room back. That's not what they're saying. We need basic things to do our job.
I will give you that. It is not on the same level, but it's probably not a good idea to push on the air when they probably are aware of the situation. But the flip side of that too, and people are actually calling Dave out. They said it's a pretty good culture. If he doesn't want to fire you, he might tweet about you. And this person's like, so it's a culture where the boss is a bitch and tries to get people to quit instead of having to fire them without cause. What a culture. Well, the cause is we're out of money.
That's what it sounds like to me. I don't think he wanted people to know that. Even though selling the building and all this other stuff, people are already kind of suspecting. And I think what their crime isn't that they said anything that was necessarily bad in normal circumstances to get them in trouble. Because a lot of people do stuff like that. Oh, we're getting a new building. I hope we get this. That's not bad. The fact that because they brought up the fact that they didn't stop with what they wish they had and went to, I wish we had mics that worked. I wish we had quiet spaces. I wish we had Wi-Fi in the building. And at that point,
I wish we had running water. I wish we had toilets.
At that point, because we're talking something that's basic. When you're doing a media thing, these are basic things that you need. At this point, it went from, hey, let's wish for things like light, natural lighting, which is that's not nothing burger, to you're naming specific things that a basic business like this should have to run. People are going to pair that up with their selling in the New York office and realize I have no money. And so now I'm gonna go after you and publicly try to humiliate you, probably gonna fire you to try to protect my image. And it's neither one are correct. They should have stopped it. I wish I had natural light, not mentioned specifics. He should have not done what he did, because now you're putting a light on yourself even more, dude. You really are. I'm sorry. I don't know these women normally. They might be complete cows any other time. I don't know. Just from what I'm seeing.
But he's, if this is what if the views are what I'm looking at here on YouTube, they're not good. But beyond that, this entire conversation should have been had behind closed doors.
I agree.
That's, but I'm also like, why would you put an episode out shitting on the boss?
Again, I think they shouldn't have said it, but I think that it started out as just wishful thinking. What could we want if we got a building and it was natural light and heat, better, warmer building, which is a problem with a lot of business office buildings. We all know that. Yeah. Those are general. It's when they made specific points that were that probably shouldn't have done. But I'm sorry, I don't think anything they said warranted what he said, and I don't think I think there's fault on both sides, but I don't think what they said was as bad as people are making it out to be. And you can get mad at me. Like I said, I don't know these women normally.
I'm not mad
they might
at you.
Be not you. I meant the audience. I'm not going to agree with you because I don't know what this. Now he's already known for being blunt and all this other stuff.
Yes.
I don't know what they're known for. They could be known to be completely catty bitches normally. I don't know who they are. I don't know. So there might be more to it that people are playing into, and that's why they're getting so heated about it. Maybe, but as somebody who's coming into it, just listening to the clip and just looking at what's happening around it, it seems to me that his reaction is overblown. And I think it's because they said about basic things that media companies should have, and people are starting to be like, oh, he doesn't have any money. And now he's like, it's a personal attack, even though I don't think it was intended to be a personal attack.
When you just made headlines for buying back you got $500 million and you just got made headlines for buying back your your business for $1, you know, people are kind of be like, well, how do you not have any money?
Well, I'm sure obviously the business at the time he sold it to till now has gone to the shitter. So he bought it back for $1, which I'm assuming that means there's debt associated with it and stuff. That's why he got it so cheap. So it could be the fact that he's starting the process of digging it out, which is the first step, is to get rid of the New York City building. And it's not necessarily a reflection on him that the things in the gutter and he got it for $1 and he has to now bring it back up to having money to pay people.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a reflection on him. Them not having, if it's a recent thing that he got it back, them not having Wi-Fi and all this other stuff is not a reflection on him as well. I don't think it's a reflection on him. But what is a reflection on him is his statement. I think he took it a little too far. He should have not said anything and then talked to them privately.
So how I wouldn't have gone nuclear on air. I would have been like, hey, yeah, let's either that episode.
You would have gone nuclear. It just wouldn't have been on air.
It would have been to you first. I would have gone nuclear to you first.
I would have calmed you down.
And then not even. This is not a joke. Like people think I'm the calm one on. I am on the air.
Okay, let's just say this. It takes a lot to make him mad, but when he's mad, he's way worse than me. When I'm mad, it's usually you're only seeing me after I have gotten to a point where I'm like, oh hell no, and then
this is true. So I'll admit to this. We had to replace a door in the office because I put a hole through it because I got so pissed off at somebody
who no longer works for us. But,
who no longer works for us. And
then says he didn't work for us. But anyway.
Yeah, that's a whole nother issue. But yeah, I do. Somebody told me one time they said you have a long wick but a short fuse. Basically, like, you know, it takes a lot to get me angry, but once I get to that point, it takes a lot to get me
like that too,
talked
honestly.
down too.
And like I will forgive and forget, move on. Not Kneon. Kneon he will hold a grudge until he takes you down. And it might take him 20 years to take you down, but he will take you down.
So
there's no question.
Here's the thing about
it's kind of freaky.
What I have learned is there are certain people you always have to watch your back with, and as long as they're out there, you're gonna have to watch your back. So I mean that's all I'm saying. It's not a grudge, it's called self-preservation. Right. There are people that you can never trust them. They're still out there. They're still causing problems, and you're going to have to watch your back.
Because neither here nor there. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to disagree on this because you think his response is justified, but they shouldn't have said it on air, which I agree they shouldn't have said it on air. But they shouldn't have said this on there. He shouldn't have said what he said publicly.
I think the entire conversation should have been held behind closed doors. I think they should not have been bitching about the working conditions.
I think there's a lot of
while taking a paycheck.
Plenty of wrong to go round, but I honestly don't think what I'm seeing warranted the outcome. Is what I'm saying. And like I said, I'm only seeing this one clip, so I don't know the whole picture. But based on what I'm seeing,
they don't look very popular. I mean, I'm just saying.
And that might be, and that could totally be the case. I just also know that if somebody is that unpopular, and it could just be because he's come back in and they were kept around because who owned it before, and now that he's coming in and looking at the financials, he's like, you haven't made a penny for this company. But he should have talked to them about it first and not publicly posted it. Yeah. So anyway, you don't have to agree with me. Kneon isn't even agreeing with me. We're kind of like not seeing this the same way. And it does happen. We don't always agree on everything. And
we don't.
We're still married. You bigot, you misogynistic bigot. No, see, we don't do that. It's like he's allowed to have his opinion that's different than mine. We look at things differently.
It is weird that like she really in real life, it is kind of a reversal. Like she does have to talk me down from the ceiling sometimes because I do get, because we have a lot of stressors outside of just doing the YouTube stuff. Like we have a lot of other shit going on, and I do get pretty feisty. So I guess my thing is like I'm more empathizing with this guy. He might be a total dick, but like any business owner would be thinking it.
I just think that they started out wishful thinking, and then they said things that he probably didn't want people to know. And I guess it doesn't necessarily mean it's his fault. It might be issues with the company, which is why he got it for $1. I'm assuming, like I said, again, if you're getting it for $1, there's reasons.
There's a reason.
There's reasons.
Right?
But he's trying to fix it. Now it reflects poorly on him.
Yeah, assume the
company.
debt. Here's all the credit card debt. Here's all the whatever.
No one gets a thing for $1 unless there's there's strings attached. Yeah. So I'm sure he's trying to dig it out, and he's trying to start the process, and then that isn't going to help because you're letting people know how bad it is, and you're going to want to get financial backing and to get venture capital, get help. You're going to want to posture still present a look of a company who's trying to right size itself, trying to correct problems, but still is doing has a lot of potential. And their people have Wi-Fi and mics that work.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, because now you're gonna get lowballed. It's gonna be like, you're broke.
Well, you don't even have Wi-Fi and mics that work. You know,
paid $1, I'll give you a quarter.
And they might not have realized. Yeah, I know, but a lot of people don't realize. Like, see, we realize that stuff. Like, we realize that stuff as business owners that you don't want. If you want to sell something, you have to make. And I'm
curbside appeal.
That's why I think he bought the New York office. In my opinion, when I looked into the timeline, I think he did that as a curbside appeal thing to sell it.
Oh, look,
and
we're growing.
I get that.
We're growing. It's a growing business, yeah.
And then, you're trying to fix the situation. You're trying to fix the damage. You're trying to get backing to improve your situation and bring the company back and trying to find people to support you. When you have people saying that we don't even get Wi-Fi in our building, they're going to be like, wait a minute. As an investor, you're like, wait, you don't have Wi-Fi, but I'm supposed to invest in you and put my trust that you're going to build this, but your people don't even have basic mics that work. And you're trying to tell me you're going to build this company a big thing. Yeah, I'm sure that's why he got mad. I'm sure it probably they weren't doing it intentionally, but it probably caused him problems, in my opinion. So anyway.
Well, I was just thinking it's like kids, and that's why mommy and daddy, they drink so much, and mommy wants to kill herself, and daddy's, out with, daddy went for milk, and they just spill the truth, and that's probably what's
when you're a teacher, they tell you anything.
Oh God.
And my mom used to do elementary. She was an elementary teacher, and she'd come home with stories about the kids would say, and daddy walked up to mommy because he didn't know it was there and just started grabbing her boobs and said, hi, how are you? And stuff like that. She grabbed her chest and went, good morning. And then he was standing there. And they would tell her this stuff. Daddy came to the bathroom with clothes on and was heading to the bedroom with mommy. And it's and they would tell my mom. And my mom would be like, oh, that's nice.
Okay. Well, daddy just couldn't find his pants.
Yeah, so anyway,
right, well, let's
been
wrap
going for a long time.
Yeah, we're wrapping it.
I have to walk 2 hours now, so let's go.
Yeah, because you're fired and I took the car away.
Right. No, I'm willingly walking for 2 hours for something else. Anyway.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
For more pop culture news, views, and rants, go to news.clownfishtv.com. That's news.clownfishtv.com.